It's Lefty. This is the Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show, episode number 13. Lucky 13 here today. The day is May the 15th. It's a Thursday. Ooh, that's not why you called later tonight. Are you ready? It's a little Degeneration X. I can't play. I don't think I can play the music because I'm pretty sure that would get me in trouble with YouTube. I'm pretty sure if I played the Degeneration X music, that YouTube might have some problems with with my choice in music. And YouTube, it sucks because welcome everybody to the Lefty Show. Let's get through the intro first. I have a bad habit, I guess, of not properly getting through the intro before I get to the show, and that might prove difficult if there's ever like a sponsor that needs a read. So welcome one and all to the Lefty Show. I thank you all for joining me here today, and I hope you all enjoy the show. Got a lot of great stuff planned for you. Going to do a little news later on in the show, perhaps a would you rather if we have time. I say like if we have time, like we're up against the clock. The show ends when I want it to end, but I try to shoot for, originally it was supposed to be half an hour, then it was 45 minutes. Now it's about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour probably. We'll see if it fits in with the flow of the show. Plenty of stuff in the between. I hope you find it informative and perhaps just a little bit entertaining. We'll have a few yucks along the way. Thank you to everybody that's been donating at imraising.com/643 productions. It's a little P on productions. There's a link in the description right now if you want to help out the show. You want to help get us and keep us on iTunes. That's where you can do it. Just click on that link. Go to imraising.com/643 productions. I thank you to everybody that's been donating. You guys have been great, and you're definitely helping out the show. And thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show with your friends and family and coworkers. You say, hey, man, I think you might like this little podcast it's been going on. Lucky 13 episode. Go ahead and check it out. Thank you to everybody that's been doing that. That's how the show grows. Everybody for viewing, watching, liking, favoriting, and subscribing on YouTube. You are all fantastic, and I thank each and every one of you for enjoying this little thing that I got going on here. Speaking of things that are going on, recorded PKA plays. A little bit of a PKA play session started yesterday, and and it was a lot of fun. It was really creating gaming content, because a lot of people here, a lot of people that listen to this show play video games. But what's interesting to note is that how I play video games when I'm, quote, creating, when I'm recording video games for content versus when you're playing video games for fun, it's kind of different. I used to be, my video gaming experience before I got into YouTube was just like yours. It was just I played for fun, and I enjoyed playing, with my close friends, and get the high score and all that stuff. And it didn't seem like there was anything invested other than having fun. And then YouTube gets involved, and I would be remiss to say that it didn't change how I approach gaming just a little bit. There's just a little bit. I'll give you a perfect example. When Kyle Chiz and I were playing hours upon hours of Civilization 5. When I was getting back into the game, I was like, okay, I got to learn, and especially playing multiplayer, never played it before, I've got to learn the ins and outs of Civilization 5. I've got to learn how it plays, how it works. I'm actually going to bump up the low end on my microphone today. I'm going to just testing that out. Some people said they wish there was it sounded a little flat in the low end, and I didn't necessarily. It wasn't glaring to me, but I figured I'll try it out. Testing out new microphone settings, all that stuff, and you can actually hear me. I'm like really loud in Woody's recording of PKA plays, and I'm sorry about that. I don't mean to be loud. I wasn't trying to be loud. I don't know if it's the new microphone. I don't know if just it seemed to me like everybody was kind of loud, but I don't know. Maybe it's just my microphone. I'm not sure. Sorry if I was a little bit too loud. I really didn't know how loud I sounded to Woody's recording of PKA plays. I didn't know. But anyway, when Kyle, Chiz, and I were playing hours upon hours of Civilization 5, we were all in a call and we were just shooting the shit, just like friends would. Which is not to say that we're not friends, but just like. I'll say civilians. I don't mean it that way, but that's the best way I can think of, is the way that, quote, civilians would play games. Just, you're just shooting the shit and you're just having fun. That's what you do. It's fun, and you're enjoying yourself, and you're free to talk about anything, say anything, and more importantly, you're free to not say something. If you don't want to say something, you don't say it, or you don't have to speak about this, that, or the other thing. And that's how it was with Civ 5. And we would play for 5-6 hours at a time. I would go to bed. Kyle and Chiz would continue playing. I have no idea how they would do it, but that's how it was. And I realized, I took a step back while we were playing. I said, man, no, there were times where we would go 10 minutes and nobody would say a word. And there were other times where we were very candid about things and talking about this or that, and very vocal about something or an issue or someone or whatever. And it was hit or miss. We were talking a lot and laughing, or we were talking about some behind the scenes issue of something else we're working on, or we just weren't speaking. And I look back and I said, man, that might not be the best kind of content, which is why I was kind of hesitant. Like, okay, I like playing Civ 5. It's a fun game, but creating content from it might be a little bit difficult if this is how it's going to go, especially because some of the things we said during the recording, we just can't say on the record. It would be bad, or probably not the best idea, and opening up a whole can of worms that we don't want to open up. And I talked to Chiz about it, and he relayed some thoughts that he and Woody had that it will be different when we know we're recording. When we hit that record button, we know there's a different. It's not like playing the game immediately becomes a job that you don't want to do. Like, fuck, I gotta show. Oh man, I gotta go to work. Like, I don't want to go to work. We've all felt that, that moment where you realize you got to go to work and you really don't want to do it for whatever reason, whether there's something else you want to do or you just don't feel up to it sometimes, and you have to force yourself to do it anyway. That's not the way it is necessarily with creating gaming content on the internet, but there is an air of, okay, now it's time to go. Now it's time to fire on all cylinders. It doesn't necessarily mean the other way. It doesn't mean necessarily that you put on a character, or that you're performing and creating a false identity, or just perpetuating a farce on people. Like, hi, I'm having fun. Blah. It's not that way either. Not necessarily, of course. Some people do it, others don't. I personally don't. In terms of playing, I'm not like, okay, now it's time to be crazy. Oh my God, you son of a bitch. There's not that button for me. That's just how I play games. When I'm not speaking, I'm internalizing that. But I figure, hey, I'm recording, might as well just externalize it. And I'll just say it into the microphone, and it's the same thing. There's no switch there. But there is you do become aware that you're recording, and you're aware that you are generating content, which is, well, you try to make it entertaining. Doesn't always work out that way. And that was the conversation. That's how it turned. It said, well, yeah, it may have been boring. It wasn't boring for me playing, but for somebody watching, it might be boring when we just get quiet. And then the conversation turned to, well, we all know when we're recording and we all turn it on, and that's where that's what you have to do. And that's how it was, or that's, I didn't know how to feel approaching PKA plays, because I knew that's going to be something that everybody is aware of, and not always in the best way. You're faking it. You're trying way too hard. I see that a lot. Like, really? Of course, none of it ever substantiated, but trying way too hard, cringeworthy. And hold on, I got to say something about cringeworthy, okay? I can't put my finger on it, but I see cringe or cringeworthy or what, that whole little internet meme thing. I see that a lot. And I see it so much to the point that either everybody that they're talking about is incredibly socially awkward, or the people who are saying this is cringeworthy, that's cringeworthy, you're cringeworthy, those people are the ones who are just social idiots or retards, and are just projecting their own feelings onto somebody else. I don't know how to react socially to this. It's you're awkward. No, stop it. Stop saying cringe, because when I see it, I automatically assume that you're fucked up and that you don't know how to be a social animal. And that, oh my God, that makes me feel awkward. Why do you feel awkward? How can one person speaking to another person over the goddamn internet, not even speaking to you, not even involving you in the conversation, how can that make you feel awkward? Cringe. I don't know if it's projecting or if it's one of those other psychological or psychology buzz terms, but it seems to me that there's something underlying there. It's not just that it was an awkward interaction or didn't play out as originally planned. The person who is saying cringe or cringeworthy or cringe this, cringe that, has something going on there where they don't know how to properly, whether it be put their thoughts out there, or they don't know how to react to social interactions between other people. I don't even know, but I see it so much to the point that either we're all socially just backwards, or some of these people are just projecting their own inadequacies onto other people. So before you type CRINGE next time, think about this. Am I being the social dumbass here? Am I projecting my inadequacies, my perceived inadequacies, onto other people so that I can feel normal while watching this? Is that what's really going on? I suspect on some level it probably is. So anyway, PKA plays happened, and I knew it was going to be I was excited for it. I was worried a little bit about Civ 5 just for that, we know when we're recording, and so we're going to try to turn it on. But I got to say, Left 4 Dead 2, we started playing it and it just took over. Everything just for me, it was like being on autopilot, and I was just able to have fun and record with my friends and have a good time. I had a good time, and I was recording it, and so people get to watch me have a good time. It wasn't even, there wasn't a single moment where I thought, oh man, I've been quiet for a while. I should probably say something. Or it would be funny if this. And so I'm going to do it for the sake of the recording. And that didn't happen. It was an organic experience. God, that just sounded so pretentious. It was entirely natural. And I see that a lot, where despite interactions being natural or quote organic, a lot of people just, again, project things onto other people. You've got to be faking it. You're trying too hard. Blah. No. You don't just go around assuming that about people who are entertaining you. It isn't that everybody's playing a character on YouTube. That is not the case. I can guarantee you that. As somebody in the business, you're not playing a character. It's not some fanciful, whimsical character or identity that you create and play to when you're making videos. That's not the case. Not necessarily the case, I should say. Because it's like being a comedian. Comedians draw from personal experience. it's all generalized and you know, I was the other day I was this. Those kinds of jokes that comedians tell you it's not really that happened to them the other day, but they probably observed something like that, and that's they had a connection with that material or whatever they saw, that observation, and they spun it into a joke. Now, again, it is a lie insofar as it didn't really happen to them the other day, that the cop was a jagoff or that they ran into the stereotypical whatever and oh my God, it was all these jokes. It's not necessarily the case, but it's still based on a true story. It's like a movie like that, and they're not really lying to you that much. It's not lies, it's just bullshit. It's a great line from the Blues Brothers. Really, it transcends the movie, and you can use it in really any context. They're not lying to you, it's just bullshit. And likewise with creating YouTube content, there is that switch where it's like, okay, now where we're going, gotta do it, but it isn't always that, you know, okay, well, now I gotta put on the clown makeup and the clown suit and go be a clown. It's not that. And for everybody that's going to say PewDiePie or whoever else, again, I don't even think that's substantiated. And just because PewDiePie or a handful of people you think and have convinced yourself that they are somehow lying to you and playing a character that they do not act that way. You know, if the camera was off, would they internally or externally act that way? If you've convinced yourself of that a handful of people do it, that's still erroneous to go around assuming everybody else is doing it. Just chill out. Let people try to entertain you without turning such a skeptical eye to something that's just innocuous. I'm not trying to sell you snake oil. It's just let yourself be entertained without, you're trying too hard. This is bullshit. So PKA Plays is a thing. Uploaded on Woody's channel. Woody, I think, is going to upload, I think he's got to upload like the entire session at once. So we recorded two separate, whatever they're called in Left 4 Dead parlance. We recorded two of them, but I think he's got to upload them in one shot, because if he edits them, because they were recorded, I believe, using XSplit, then the sync will get way off, and eventually it'll just turn into shit. And so my editing, on the other hand, I've got 5 episodes, all of them about 20 minutes each, and you'll get those over the next 5-6 days, perhaps. Got a few, got a little bit more content for you guys, but PKA Plays is a thing. I don't know when we're going to record next or what the next game will be, but I really had a good time, and I hope that I hope that everybody will see it for what it is. I know there are going to be people that will expect us to try to turn PKA Plays into PKA is MLG at these games, but I approach it more as friends having a good time playing games. Are they good at the games? Maybe, maybe not. That's not really the point. So let's move on. Let's see. Do I want to do a little news? Let's see. How far are we? Gotta get into some news now, or I can talk about Avatar. All right, I'm going to talk about Avatar because, yeah, I know the movie was released 4 years ago or something like that. When did it even come out? I got to see this. Not Akatar. Avatar, IMDb. Okay, 5 years ago. I know the movie came out 5 years ago, but I just saw it the other day. Okay? How bad is that? How bad is that? 2000, I just saw it the other day. Movie review, finally, of Avatar. 5 years later, I let it simmer. I let it age. It's now vintage, and I am going to review Avatar for you. Technologically speaking, Avatar was and is a tremendous feat. It is amazing in that sense. It is amazing what James Cameron was able to do. James Cameron and his team of technological savants were able to do in terms of creating all those graphics and just the movie in general. It was a fantastic film from a special effects, not even special effects, just effects point of view, just creating things with the PC. or Mac, whatever it is they do. I wonder what the render time is on Avatar. Once they had it all done, because there had to be at some point a render, and this is Avatar. And it was in probably 4K or 8K or something like that, some huge format. And the movie's how long? About 2 hours, something like that. And so all those pixels, all those effects and the 3D stuff, which is, I don't even know how that's. I mean, I have a basic understanding of how it's done, but I don't know how they create that in a digital world. As far as rendering goes, but the render time had to be freaking days. They had to just set a computer and just, okay, now it's time for you to render Avatar. You have fun with that. But technologically speaking, Avatar is a fantastic film, and I get why everybody for the last 5 years. God damn it, it's been 5 years. I was hoping it was 2010. 4 years, like, to release in 2010, I'm going to talk about it now, but damn it was 2009. Damn it. Again, technologically speaking, fantastic movie. It was awe-inspiring in terms of what it was able to do. As a narrative, it was a cheesy piece of shit. Like, I'll say this, because I was watching it, and, you know, the guy is the Avatar, and then there's the definite Vietnam overtones, and even the helicopters that they fly around have the distinctive of the Bell Huey, or the UH-1, is it the UH-1 Bell Huey Cobra or something like that? Of the Huey helicopter, and the whole jungle theme, and there's a definite Vietnam in space undertone or overtone or whatever the fuck to the movie. You know, in the Go America, and then the insurgents, and then you identify with the insurgents, and blah, 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 or the natives, and okay. But it got to the point where, and that could have been an interesting narrative unto itself, but it got to the point where it turned into, essentially, it turned into the Wolverines. It turned into Red Dawn, where the down and out indigenous culture, or the indigenous people whose best thing they had was archery and flying archers, was able to mount an offensive and take on the technologically infinitely more advanced humans, et cetera, and they win back the day, and then there was a montage of gathering forces, and then all of a sudden the chick who was the female helicopter pilot, who turned on the Marines, all of a sudden her helicopter had fucking face paint on it, and she had face paint on as well. That's how cheesy Avatar got. Never mind the fact that they are on a moon of Jupiter, I believe it is, and it's a hostile environment. There's all these bad things, and they spend a lot of time setting up how cold and dangerous the whole thing is for that they're trying to get this element, which we'll get to in a second. They're trying to get all of this stuff, and it's dangerous. And the place is called Pandora. Now I know the moon of Jupiter is actually named Pandora, but come on, man. Really? That is so in your face, it's to the point of cheesy. Just like that. It's Pandora, and oh, by golly, Pandora is probably a place you would not want to spend. We got here, we did not know what it would be, and oh my God, it's so dangerous, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many bad things in Pandora. And the thing they're after is called unobtainium. The thing the humans are trying to mine to bring back to Earth to apparently save the planet is called unobtainium. Now, it's possible that there's an even deeper farcical tone to all of this. That it's just laugh at how silly this narrative is and just watch in awe, stand in awe of the special effects. Okay? There might be that. But I haven't seen anybody talk about that angle, like, yeah, you're just supposed to laugh at the narrative because it's so stupid, because come on, they are on a planet, a dangerous uninhabitable planet called Pandora, with all these evils that they didn't know would be there, and they're after unobtainium. It's just, what in the God's name? And then all of a sudden, the archers, the arrows from the indigenous people couldn't in the first conflict could not penetrate the canopies of the Marines, helicopters and transport ships and whatnot. But then in the climax, all of a sudden that's a thing. All of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, we can break it now. It turned so cheesy to the point of offensive. And while I can stand in awe of Avatar's technological advancements and feats, in terms of telling a story, it almost got to the point of being offensive. Like, this is so cheesy and sad. This is a bunch of teenagers in Minnesota or wherever Red Dawn took place, taking on Spetsnaz, taking on the communist army that's invading them. That is pretty much what Avatar became. It became Red Dawn. And Red Dawn was children fighting off commies. That's how silly it became as far as the narrative goes. So overall, I'd give it 3 stars out of 5. And those 3 stars are are purely from the effects standpoint. As a narrative, the narrative was negative to that at that point. The narrative detracted from my enjoyment of everything else because I couldn't help but be like, why the fuck is the helicopter painted? Why? And why is the pilot wearing the war paint? What is going on? Why is this happening? Anyway, let's get into a little news. Got a lot to talk about today for all of you. Hope you enjoyed that. Just kind of riffing on Avatar for a bit. I'm sorry, I had to talk about it. I know the movie's 5 goddamn years old. I'm aware. I can read calendars just like everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about fast food workers. Fast food, who doesn't love a little bit of fast food? If you're a health Nazi, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear about it. Comcast perhaps talking about data caps for customers in 5 years. And the FCC voted to officially allow you to make your voices heard on the net neutrality issue. Nothing really new there, but just going to give you guys the heads up on what is going on there. We got a lot to talk about. Would you rather? Perhaps coming up after this. Now, I talk a lot about ISPs and the FCC and net neutrality and all that. And today, the FCC voted 2-1, or excuse me, 3-2 to move along in the proposal phase. This is not a rule yet. They voted 3-2 to move along in the proposal phase, a proposal that would in some ways maybe allow internet pay for fast lanes from ISPs. ISPs contacting content providers and saying, hey, if you want fast and reliable connection to our customers, give us a little green. And there's language in the proposal that would kind of allow for that. And but somehow the FCC chairman says, no, I understand net neutrality. He said, I understand this issue in my bones, which is a weird place to me to be understanding issues, is in your bones, in your bone. Let's keep it in your brain, and let's talk about in your brain, and perhaps not in your wallet. The wallet is probably, I understand this issue in my wallet, would probably be the worst place for the FCC chairman to say that he understands this issue. And it's probably true. He probably does. I understand this in my wallet because I'm getting big checks from ISPs. But he says he understands net neutrality and stuff. But the big issue or the big story is that in whatever bureaucratic process it is by which the FCC creates rules, they are now in the phase in which you people listening to this right now, your voices go on some bullshit official record. Right? Because it is official record. It's bullshit. But apparently all the orifices of the FCC are now ready and waiting for your phallic opinions on what's going on with this proposed rule. And they are all ready to take down your calls and your emails and your texting and all this stuff, or however they take your information and however they take your opinions, your letters, your protests. They are now there for you. So this is the time This is now the time for you to say reclassify reclassify ISPs not as information providers, but as common carriers, and regulate them as such. And this is the time now. If there was any time before, this is the time now when they are officially, the FCC is now, quote, officially open to the public's thoughts on this whole thing. Nothing new, no new oversight, no new rules, no nothing. It's just now they are officially open to what you have to say. And if you want to do that, you can seek them out and tell them and say, I like this, I don't like this is bullshit, here's what you should do, etc. And it will all go on some official record that will be promptly not fucking listened to. But at least you get the idea, at least you get the feeling of participating in your own governance. And that's what you can do. I believe it's fcc.gov. Yeah, I don't think they're .com. So fcc.gov, and I think there's probably a place you can send emails and dispatch emails and say, hey, I don't like this, and you can do that. They are officially on record as saying, tell us what you think of this now. And if you want net neutrality, you really want it, and you don't want data caps like Comcast is proposing in perhaps 5 years, they're thinking 500 gigabyte data caps. If you don't want that, tell the FCC no more oversight, no more information service, reclassify them as common carriers. Now, fast food workers all around the country are staging a walkout today. This is from BattleCreekInquirer.com. I don't find the sources, kids. I just read from them. Quote, hundreds of fast food workers walked off their jobs in dozens of U.S. cities on Thursday, reportedly forcing at least a few locations to temporarily close or restaff while mostly managers filled in, as sympathetic protesters in several dozen countries joined in a united call for wages of $15 an hour and the right to form a union, etc. And it goes on from there, detailing everything that's going on. Fast food workers are interviewed. And now this is interesting because, you know, we all like fast food. Everybody does. But that's why the businesses are as big as they are. They're not good for you. Don't listen to that. But it's good food, good quality food at a tasty price. That is what fast food is. And, well, you may not like some things, but there's probably something on a fast food menu somewhere that you like. And we never really stop to think about everything that goes into that. We never really stop to think about the guy that is flipping the burgers, the guy that is, you know, dipping the fries in and out of the hot grease, and the driver that drives the frozen patties and buns to the locations, and the people that man the ovens to warm them up, et cetera, and the managers that run all of it. We never really stopped to consider that, or at least I hadn't, and I'm assuming many people haven't as well. And it's nice to see. I know a lot of people are going to probably scoff at this because you immediately think fast food, you think of a pimply faced teenager flipping burgers, but here's the thing. They're striking for $15 an hour, which is probably, I would say, probably barely a livable wage. It's probably just barely a livable wage in terms of independently supporting yourself, not owning a house, okay? You shouldn't own a house and work at McDonald's. No. Wherever you are, try to price it out where you give them just average or even below average, but try to price it out at $15 an hour working full-time, livable wage. This is what they are striking for. They don't want, I know a lot of people are going to I'm sure Reddit is filled with guys that took an economics class and all of a sudden they can cure the ills of the world. These people aren't striking to have 2 cell phones or have a top-of-the-line computer or own a car or own a nice car, a brand new car, or own a house. This is not what they want. What fast food workers are striking for is a livable wage. They want to be able to live off of a full-time commitment to their company. They don't want a job in which the employee fucking website at McDonald's, the employee website directs people, employees, based on the state in which they work, on how to get on welfare and food stamps. They don't want that anymore. They think, and call it entitlement if you want, but isn't that reasonable entitlement? I'm giving you a full-time 40 hours a week. For 5 days a week, I'm giving you 8 hours. That's probably the I'm giving you 38 to 40 hours a week of my life. I want a livable wage for that. It doesn't matter that they're flipping burgers. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter, oh, well, computers can do your job for you. A computer could do your job. Right? I'm sure that's going to be passed around a lot, that picture of an automated McDonald's teller where, a touchscreen, you just pick what you want. I'm sure that's going to be circulated around today. Meet your replacement, hardy har har har. Well, then let's talk about, if people want to go down that road, automating jobs, well, what about truckers? Do truckers deserve a livable wage for their full-time commitments? Because Google's got self-drivable cars now. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that within 5 years there's going to be self-drivable trucks. What's that going to do to the shipping industry? Do they not deserve a livable wage because their job can be done by a computer? There was something on the LA Times, I believe it was, or I don't know, it was some paper in Los Angeles, a news outlet in Los Angeles, a dispatch. A news report, an actual news article about an earthquake was created solely by a computer. That's it. By an algorithm, wrote this story about an earthquake. And it wasn't just earthquake of blah, 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 centered on da-da-da-da-da. It was multiple paragraphs long about an earthquake. It wasn't an editorial. It didn't interview people. But it was still just compiled from reports by an algorithm and published on the news outlet's website. Do journalists or reporters, do they deserve a livable wage for their full time? Should they be able to live off of what they do because a computer can do their job? That is a bad metric by which to say you do not deserve to live off of your full-time commitment to this company. You should work 2 jobs. You should work 60, 70 hours a week if you want to live. And think about that. Think about when you say that. Holy shit. When you tell people, yeah. I know that you are dedicating 40 hours a week of your life to this company, but you still should not be able to support yourself. Again, supporting oneself is subjective here because, yes, there are people that have too many kids on not enough money. And that's their problem, right? If you're not supporting 4 kids while working at McDonald's, you're not going to buy a house working at McDonald's as the sole provider of income. That's just not going to happen and isn't reasonable. But what is reasonable? Being able to afford a decent apartment so you don't have to worry about getting shot, buying and paying off a shitty car, insurance, cell phone. Everybody's got to have a cell phone. You got to have health insurance now that you got to pay for. Are all those things reasonable? Then these people need $15 an hour. Do the math. Do it. And no, don't spare me the MIT database that is a calorie deficient diet. People that work in fast food should not automatically be relegated to a calorie deficient diet based on the FDA's bullshit charts, the lowest possible caloric intake and vitamin intake that the FDA can approve. They should not be relegated to that just because they work in fast food. And again, spare me the value of what they provide. They provide food. They give a company 40 hours a week. This company generates billions in revenue, billions in profit yearly. And they're giving this company a full-time commitment. They deserve a livable wage. Whatever it is. It's probably around $15 right now. I would argue probably closer to $20 for a livable wage. Not minimum, livable. And they don't have it. And they're trying to get it. And so respect goes out, and well wishes and good luck to all the people that work in fast food. that are trying to get a livable way. Again, a lot of people focus on the $15, or they focus on the thing that they're doing. And it's just, these people don't, I don't know if it's disingenuous. I don't know if they just can't help but argue ridiculous things. They say you shouldn't be driving a Lexus if you flip burgers at McDonald's. They say they can't help but create straw man arguments. No, it's not what these people want. They want to be able to afford their apartment. They want to be able to afford health care. They want to be able to not have to live in constant angst over getting sick or getting hurt or going to the doctor and finding something wrong with them. They want to live not carefree, I'm sure everybody wants to live in with money raining down upon them. That would be nice, but they don't want to live in riches. This is not them asking to be rich. This is them asking to be carefree about things that they constantly worry about. Basic things that all humans in this society have to deal with. Healthcare, insurance, driving places, putting a roof over your head and putting food in your mouth. All those, they all worry about those things as full-time employees. And they want to be able to not have to worry as much about those things because they are doing what everybody else does. A full-time commitment, a full-time job. Does not matter that they're flipping burgers. Does not matter that they work alongside a 16-year-old kid who's getting his first job. If that kid works 40 hours a week, damn straight that kid deserves a livable wage. So what, he lives with his parents. He's giving them 40 hours a week. He deserves she deserves a livable wage. It does not matter the age. It does not matter the product. If we're talking about a minimum / livable wage, this is what these people want, and that's what they're trying to get. And it bothers me sometimes that I see people so cavalier about the lives of others. And it's just, wow, fuck them. They shouldn't be able to get, no. They shouldn't be able to get a new car or flipping burgers. What do you think? Do you want to live off that? Well, if they're giving the company 40 hours a week, yeah. Because, again, if we go into a computer could do your job or your job could be done easier, more efficiently by this, that, or the other thing, well, then we have to apply it to a whole lot of shit. A whole lot of things. Do you drive? Are you a delivery driver? Do you do any kind of driving for your job? Do you do any kind of work that could be automated? Do you do paperwork? Oh my God, that could be so automated. It so could be automated. You could be out of a job if you work in an office doing paperwork. Computer could do that easily. But oh no, because they're flipping burgers and working in hot grease and giving you your $1.99 cheeseburger. Well, fuck them. Fuck them. They shouldn't have blah, blah, blah. And the worst argument is, well, they're going to be making as much as blah, and I do this. Well, then talk to your boss, motherfucker. That's not the problem of some guy who's trying to get a livable wage. If you don't think you should be paid commensurate with a guy who flips burgers or works at McDonald's, then talk to your boss. Be like, hey, I'm underpaid, man. You're paying me barely a livable wage, and I'm welding for you 12 hours a day. Talk to your boss. That's not the McDonald's guy's fault. That's your boss's fault. And perhaps yours. The people at McDonald's should not be forced into a life of constant worry, constant angst of poverty because you need to preserve your vanity of how much you make relative to a guy that flips burgers for a living. No. You want to talk about entitled? That's fucking entitled. That is unreasonable entitled. I'm entitled to my vanity so that I want to feel more valuable than a guy that flips burgers. That's fucking entitlement. And if you want something to do about it, go talk to your boss. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of this talk, and it was even talked about with the Comcast data caps, where the CEO is talking about possible data caps for Comcast internet subscribers in the next 5 years. There was talk about there was a comment thread on Reddit where it said, the end game of the free market, corporations allowed to grow so big that they just end up becoming the government. And then somebody else replied immediately, that is not free market. That is crony capitalism. Crony capitalism is what happens every day and is sold to you as free market. It's a lie. And I know there's going to be, especially about this whole minimum wage or livable wage argument, there's going to be a whole lot of free market talk. And I don't want to say I really try not to say I despise, I hate, I do this, because it doesn't do my feelings justice in the wrong way. It makes me seem as though these things that exist completely independent of me affect my life negatively. Like I'm like, oh my God, I can't do things now. I can't enjoy other things now because this happened elsewhere. That's not the case. It irks me when people bring up free market because it seems as though they are completely ignoring the fact that we are humans, the fact that we have greed, we have vanity, we have avarice, we have prejudice, and we act on all those things. We act on a cocktail of those things. Those things come together and mix in different proportions to create our reactions and actions to different stimuli. That's the way we work. It gets a little... I don't want to get too complicated on the whole what is our consciousness. Is it just a very, very, very complex series of chemical reactions? Is there no such thing really as free thought? I'm assuming there's free thought, that we do have the ability to decide for ourselves and we are not just a complex set of reactions. I'm assuming that consciousness exists somewhere outside of just strict reactions. It's not a reactionary thing. And I say that because people seem to use the free market as a catch-all, cure-all. It's Broadway Bob's chemical elixir brewed in Tennessee, and it's going to cure all that ails you. What's the answer? What's the answer to ISPs? Free market. What's the answer to minimum wage jobs? What is the actual best thing for everybody in terms of, should there be a minimum wage? No, it should be the free market. Free market, free market, free market. And it's all taught in economics classes, which I have not taken, and I'm sure people understand it to a better degree than I do. But through all my discussions and interactions and seeing people discuss free market, I've never once seen somebody try to account for the fact that some people may just not like other people. Some people may just not want to do this simply because fuck them. It may be best. It may be the best. It may be best for my business. It may be best for my bottom line. It may be best for all this stuff. My investors, but no. Fuck them. Because I don't like them. Because I don't want to seem weak in front of other people. Vanity. I don't want to seem that way. So no, we're not going to do this. Or the other way, we're going to do this because fuck them. Woody brings up a great argument when talking about the commonly held statistic, or the commonly spewed statistic, that women earn 70 cents on the dollar in many, many areas of employment relative to men. Men earn 30% more than women for the same or similar work. And there's a whole lot of other ways to attack that statistic, but the way Woody does is really eloquent and pretty clever. It says, well, if that was the case, why aren't women employed everywhere? Because you could save 30% for the same amount of work. And while it's very clever, and it's like, oh man, yeah. Well, what if employers just don't want to deal with women? What if they are making prejudiced decisions and saying, yeah, I could pay this, or I am paying this woman less because I just don't like them, or I'm not hiring them because I don't want to work with them. And similarly, the best way was there's a famous Christmas movie. I forget what it's called. I want to say It's a Wonderful Life. That's what it is. It's A Wonderful Life. And there's a scene, I won't go through the whole movie, but there's a scene where this guy who is the head of, the evil man owns a bank, and then there's the good guy who owns a savings and loan. Hold on a sec. Let's see who is God, that was so long ago. It was 1946. It was James Stewart. That's who it was. George Bailey. He owned a savings and loan, which is different from a bank. And the whole idea of a savings and loan is a group of people get together and decide to pool all their money, and they agree to they create something, a savings and loan that pays them a little bit of interest, but they use their pooled savings to make loans to other people who pay back interest, et cetera, et cetera. And it's only used to buy houses and to buy or to loan out money so people can buy real estate and do all these things. It's not a speculative bank. And George Bailey's savings and loan was being attacked by this evil bank guy, this evil rich guy in a bank, etc. And there's a moving scene where somebody asks, well, where'd all the money go? Where did this go? And George Bailey, James Stewart, it's a tremendous scene. Well, I don't have your money. It's in Bill's house and Fred's house. And he was trying to explain to these people, I didn't abscond with your money. Your money is in these things. It's in these pieces of land and these houses. That's where it is. I didn't speculate and lose all your money. It's there. And that's where it is. You can't just take it all from me. You can't just come and say, I demand all my money, because it's not there. It was used to buy all these things, and that's what we all agreed to do. And there was a free market guy. I read a blog on why It's a Wonderful Life. The story itself is bullshit, because why would the evil bank, if George Bailey's business and loan was struggling, why would he actively spend money to try to screw George Bailey? Because the reasoning was because the free market, the market would eventually kill Bailey's business. Why would the evildoer try to kill Bailey's business? That doesn't make any sense. Nobody would ever do that. And it was just a complete dehumanizing argument, because there is a reason why the evildoer would try to fuck with George Bailey, because he doesn't like him, because we're humans. We are not computers. The free market and all the things that the free market says, all those things, all those equations, all those equilibriums, all those things that I don't understand, which I don't understand them, but I do understand that they would probably all work if we weren't humans. We are humans. If we were computers, life would be completely different. If we acted as though we were computers, life would be different. Nobody would be fat. Nobody. Because computers would not overeat. Overeating is a human quality. Overeating is a human saying, oh man, I really like the taste of this mastacholi. I am going to continue eating this, not for sustenance, not for calories, but because I like the taste of mastacholi. Or I'm going to drink this wine or this liquor, not because I want to help my liver in small amounts. It's because I like the feelings that it inspires in my brain, and I'm going to continue and do it until I get drunk and black out and go to sleep and wake up again. All those things are human qualities that would not exist if we were computers. We would not hold grudges if we were computers. There would be no racism if we were computers. There would be no prejudice, inherent prejudice, if we were computers. And then I'm assuming the free market would work, because we would all interact with our own best interests, but our own quote best interests are things we all agree upon. Our own best interests are clearly defined values. Because to the guy that overeats the mastacholi, his best interest is the taste of the mastacholi, not the calories from the mastacholi or the carbs, because he's got something to do tomorrow. But we're not computers. The free market would probably work. I'm guessing a lot of those equations require computer-like actions. All those equilibrii require computer-like thought and response from people, from actors, we'll call them. But we're not computers. We're humans. We have all these things. We have all these imperfections, all these things that make us human, that make us not computers. Those are all things that is what the human experience is all those things that the free market argues doesn't exist and is the best for everybody. So yeah, it would be probably better if there was no minimum wage and everybody was free to bargain with McDonald's or with Walmart or with every employer and say, look, what do you want to pay me for my work? And they say this and I say that, and if they say if their price is too high or too low, I say no, and I walk away and I go do something else. But that's not the case. And McDonald's and Walmart is acting in their own best interests from the perspective of, we're not trying to squash you. We're not trying to squash the middle class, to drive down prices, to drive down whatever. We're just trying, your work is valued at this and we'll pay you that. And we bargain from there. But that's not the case, because there are people that try to do bad things. There are people who, unknowingly or not, hold grudges or hold prejudices. Maybe it is that women are underpaid because of just just a little bit of some subconscious prejudice that employers hold. Maybe. But to say the free market is the answer is to completely remove humans from the equation, which you can't do in reality. Because, and eventually, even in a free market, if we just throw down all regulation, some human is going to rise to a place of power, whether it be business and government or whatever, and they are going to want to stay there in that place of business, in that place of power, and they're going to want to stay there and or even get more. And then we get things like child labor. When you allow humans to, if you leave them to their own devices with no oversight, and you start, when they wrap their value up in dollars and things, and then you leave them to their own devices, well, then all of a sudden you get children working in coal mines. Then all of a sudden you get company stores. Then all of a sudden you get the credit default swap market trading 30 times the gross domestic product of every country. There was a standing debt of like 30 times the gross domestic product of the entire planet. The entire planet's gross domestic product paled in comparison to all the debt that was leveraged in the credit default swap market. And there was no oversight at all. Nothing. It was a free market for all intents and purposes. And look what happens. Because we're not computers, we're humans. And we're greedy, and we're bastards, and we hold grudges, we have vanity, and our value is wrapped up in things and money. And so I disagree. I shun the idea of the free market. I shun the idea of a free market being the cure-all for the cure for what ails you. The free market is not the answer for minimum wage or for wages, livable wages for people, because humans are involved in this market, not computers. And somebody is going to try to crush something, or somebody is going to try to maximize this or that, and other people who would otherwise have assumed bargaining power don't have that bargaining power. Because this is the only, you can't just, in our society, it's really, really, really hard to say, I can't not have a job. Because if McDonald's comes to you and says, hey, I'll pay you $4 an hour for 40 hours a week, eventually there is a point at which you have to say yes to that. The free market, as I understand it, doesn't have such a thing. You can't, because it doesn't follow you after you say no to that and don't have a job but still have to live. It doesn't account for that. and I haven't seen it. So we're not computers, we're humans. The free market is not the place, is not the right answer, at least not yet. Let's get into a little Would You Rather before we end the Lefty Show. Thank you to all of you that have been watching and listening. I'mRaising.com. If you want to help support the show, that's where you can go. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. That's where you can go. Would you rather be deaf and have no legs or be blind and have no arms? It's from YouRather.com. Oh, boy. Well, I wonder. I'm trying to think how much of my enjoyment of life is wrapped up in either hearing and walking or seeing and touching things. You know, I wonder how far up the leg we're talking about. No legs. Are we talking like absolutely no legs at all? Like at the hip joint, it just ends, and I'm like, I am literally half a person or thereabouts? Is that what we're talking about with no legs? No arms, I'm assuming you're lopped off at the shoulder. So I guess it would stand to reason that if you have no legs, they're lopped off at the hip, not, mid-thigh or above or below the knee. Because, if it's above the knee, Oscar Pistorius doing big things. There's crazy things going on with implants now. And I may have no feet, but people can still walk with no feet and still do all the things that other humans do. And then it just becomes a question of, would I rather be deaf or blind? And I got to say deaf. I would rather be deaf than blind. Because they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but if I'm deaf, I can't hear word one. So I'd rather have vision than blindness, and then just implants of some kind, cybernetic implants from there on out. Let's see. Oh boy. Here's a question that sums up my childhood. Would you rather be on Guts or be on Legends of the Hidden Temple? This is clear. Oh no, wait. Oh. No. Shit. Is it Global Guts? It doesn't matter. Guts or Global Guts. It was just because Guts had the aggro crag, but Legends of the Hidden Temple had the blue barracudas, and damn it. And they did that whole maze thing through the ruins, and you got grabbed by the weird guys dressed up like Aztecs, and they had some cool event. Oh man, I gotta say Guts. Because I've got to give myself a chance at the aggro crack. I've just got to give myself that chance. I'm not assuming that I'm going to win. I'll probably lose because, let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the events. I mean, I might be able to win some of them. They had that recumbent bicycle thing where they would go around the track and it was like an obstacle course. I could do that. And they had that bungee jumping thing where you jump up and try to grab the balls off the pole. No, it's not an innuendo. There was a pool thing too, as I recall. No, I got to say Guts. I got to go Guts because there's got to be a chance. I have to give myself a chance at the aggro crag. As cool as Legends of the Hidden Temple was, as much as I would cherish my blue barracuda or green monkey t-shirt, fuck the purple parrots, fuck it, no, and fuck the silver snakes, no, it's blue barracuda or green monkeys, okay? As much as I would cherish that, I would cherish the ability or the chance to win a piece of the aggro crag. And plus, if I get on Guts and I really want a piece of the aggro crag, I could probably steal one. I could probably steal a piece of the aggro crag or that prop and just take it with me and take it home. So either way, I'm going on guts, and I'm coming home with a piece of the aggro crag. And that shit is going to stay with me forever, for life. I'm going to take selfies with it. I'm going to bathe with it. I'm going to cook it meals. The aggro crag is the driving force of this decision. It's got to be, I've got to be on guts because I want myself a piece of that aggro crag, of that sweet, sweet, delicious, of that sweet aggro crag. Let's bring it home, baby. The Lefty Show, episode 13. Gonna call it there. Thank you all for listening to the show. Thank you to everybody that's been watching on YouTube, liking, favoriting, subscribing. You know, all those things you do that I like. Thank you, everybody, for sharing the show with your friends, your families, your coworkers, helping the show grow. I greatly appreciate it. It does help me out. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. There's a link in the description. If you want to help out the show that way, it's a great way to do it. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. I hope you enjoyed the show. Plenty more to come this week. That's Not Why You Called later tonight. PKA plays all this week, and more of the Lefty Show coming tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining. I got to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out. Bye.